Yeah, so getting back to the economics of Karl Marx, I mean, it sounds like a straight trajectory from a non-capitalist economy, say something in the Middle Ages, to a super capitalist type economy, and then breakdown, which is what, Karl Marx predicted. As the capitalists just kept taking more and more and more of the income, there wouldn't be anything left for the workers. But obviously something happened, and it happened around 1930, and this should not come as a surprise to any student of economics, because that was the Great Depression. So that was the breakdown that Marx had predicted. If you just let capitalism do its thing, you're going to end up with complete breakdown of your economic system. But then what happened was, we'll use the United States as an example. You had people like Roosevelt come in and say, all right, well, let's just kind of play around with this. We don't need to be completely pure capitalist, like that would be the libertarians, right? Pure capitalist. We don't need that. Maybe we'll just throw crazy amount of taxes on the capitalists who are earning in the top 0.01% or whatever. I mean, in today's economy, that would be like if you were just to tax Bezos, Tuckemeyer, or whatever his name is, Tuckebag, the guy from Microsoft, and who's the other guy that Trump used to love, but they apparently had a little tiff. Well, whatever. He owns one of those chatting devices. But whatever. If you were just tax those guys, like the 7 richest people, maybe let's say the 100 richest Americans, if you were just to tax them on their last dollar of income that's over $100 million. I mean, who needs to be earning over $100 million anyways? If you were to just tax that at 95%, I think we'd solve all of the problems with the deficit, because the money would be rolling into the treasury. But essentially, that's what Roosevelt and his advisors and his administration did in the 1930s. I mean, he had the so-called Brains Trust. Regs Tuxwell, I think that was his name, Tuxwell. And all these people that were like, essentially they were democratic socialist. In other words, they were trying to like minimize what the capitalists could do, as opposed to what the communists wanted to do, which is like, well, take all capital away from them. And I think the Roosevelt administration kind of got it right. If you compare, the lifestyles of Americans in the 1950s to what it existed in Soviet Russia, I mean, The Russians were a little bit behind. But you could also argue that, they started from way behind, so the fact that they were even close is maybe a testimony to Stalin's plan. But no, I mean, if I was, alive during those years, I would have totally chosen to have been an American living in the United States as opposed to, whatever was going on in the Soviet Union, especially in Russia, which was, the main state. Now that may make me, culturally chauvinistic, so maybe I'm choosing to live in the United States because, well, I am American. So, I mean, but no, I think people lived better in the United States during the 50s, and they've certainly felt a lot more freer, I would say, than what was going on in the Soviet Union. But yeah, so that's where I would say, like, why has capitalism not led to direct collapse? Because Roosevelt and the middle way during the 30s, 40s, 50s, into the 60s, I guess, kind of arrested the development of capitalism. But since Ronald Reagan and Thatcher, they've cut all that back. So here we are again with an economy that really looks like it wants to collapse whenever you leave it alone. Because that's what capitalism delivers you. I mean, Marx was totally right. You will end up with the rich getting richer and everyone else having no income. It ended up in some sort of Malthusian kind of equation. But I'm just going to let it go at this point. All I wanted to explain was why we haven't seen the complete destruction of capitalism. And it was because people like the Social Democratic Party in Germany, and Roosevelt in the United States, they arrested the development of capitalism. In other words, they were like, we're just going to shut this down because it's ruining our country, our economy, our people. But since the era of Reagan and Thatcher, they've let loose capitalism again. So here we are with major problems that you didn't see before Reagan and Thatcher. I mean, it just didn't exist. But anyway, you guys be safe.